2 years later. Hamas militants killed 1,200 people and abducted 250 others that day in Israel back in 2023. 48 hostages remain inside of Gaza, 20 of them believed by Israel to still be alive. Israel's offensive in the ongoing war has killed tens of thousands of people in the Gaza Strip. And peace talks are underway right now between Israel and Hamas in Egypt. Hamas says it will release the remaining hostages only in exchange for a lasting ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal. Let's get over to our Lisa Everest with more on the ceasefire negotiations as memorials for the victims are being held today. Lisa.
Well, Bianca, as you know, today marks 2 years since the Hamas attack on Israel, killing more than 1,200 people and taking more than 250 others hostage. Somber memorials are happening here in our area and in Israel amid new hope that President Trump's 20-point peace plan will end the war in Gaza. In Israel, hundreds gathered at powerful and moving memorials to the more than 375 victims killed while attending or trying to flee the Nova Music Festival. Many were young people, nearly all civilians. The attack on Israel, targeting mostly civilians, started the Gaza war between Israel and Hamas. The United Nations says the war has claimed the lives of more than 66,000 Palestinians. Negotiators from Israel, Hamas, and the United States have begun peace talks in Egypt. The goal is ending the bloodshed and suffering and ensuring safety for the people of Gaza as well as Israeli citizens.
Well, let's hope that we can finish it the easy way and not the hard way.
I think we're doing very well, and I think Hamas has been agreeing to things that are very important.
The NYPD is on high alert today for any threats against Jewish synagogues and cultural institutions. Intelligence units are monitoring feeds with international partners, and officers on the ground are ready for any pop-up protests. The threat increased security ahead of several events happening later today. Those who want peace are praying and hoping for an end to the decades-old conflict. Bianca, back to you.
All right, Lisa, thanks so much for that. Many in our area, among the thousands of families grieving, Omer Nutra, an American-Israeli citizen who was previously believed to be alive and held hostage in Gaza, was killed during the October 7th attacks. Our Jada Goldberg spoke to his parents who live on Long Island.
For more than 700 days, Ronan and Orna Nutra have been counting. Each piece of tape, each number. Another day without their son Omer.
I couldn't have imagined in my worst nightmares that we'd still be in this position 2 years later.
They went from private parents to public advocates overnight, making sure the world knew their son Omer, a tank commander in the IDF, was being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza.
They were just there a month to defend the border, not knowing that the attack on Israel will be the biggest in its history.
We would speak almost every day, and he had just come back to the base, and he said, you know, Mom, things have calmed down. We're expecting a quiet holiday, completely casual call, and we were like, okay, talk tomorrow.
For 421 days, they held on to hope that he was still alive.
For 14 months, you're in this fight.
Until the devastating news, Omer was among those killed on October 7th, the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
On December 1st, 2024, the intelligence received new information that dated back to October 7th. And based on that information, they concluded that Omer died that day in the tunnels of Hamas because he didn't receive the medical attention that he should have received. You know, it's something that neither the mind nor the heart can really accept.
After the news, a memorial service was held in Omer's honor at his family synagogue in Syosset, but his body to this day is still being held in Gaza.
Our life is on hold. We're stuck.
The Nutras want people to remember not just Omer's murder, but his extraordinary life. The grandson of 2 Holocaust survivors felt a responsibility to defend Israel, and he did so with pride.
Omer was very much a part of this community. He was like a natural leader. And if the kids gravitated toward him.
And just steps away from the Nutra's home is a new basketball court in Omer's name. It's the game he loved in his hometown. The only thing missing is him.
This is where I taught him how to bike on this court. That's where we shot the first hoops. It's just so symbolic that now we see his name there.
The family plans to keep wearing Omer's face on their shirts. They call it their uniform in what feels like a never-ending fight. They've met with elected officials, pleaded with leaders, yet 2 years later, and they're still waiting.
Announcements are good and talks about a deal, and it's all good, but we need action. We need them back.
With a possible ceasefire deal on the table, one that could bring home the remaining Israeli hostages, 20 alive and 28 who are dead, including Omer, the Nutras say they're cautiously hopeful.
It brings a lot of hope, a lot of anticipation, but also we're protecting ourselves because we have been in this spot multiple times before.
Their message to Hamas is simple.
Let those people go. The suffering of innocent people is so unnecessary.
Support from the community has given the Nutras the strength to keep going, but they say there will be no closure until all hostages come home. On Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
Meanwhile, our coverage marking 2 years since October 7th continues all day on Fox 5, both on air and on the Fox local app. Let's turn now to weather, and rain is on the way. Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Woods at the Weather Center for more on this one. Hey, Mike.
Yes, hey there, Bianca. Yes, we have rain on the way, though you wouldn't know it by what we've seen so far today. It feels like one more summer day coming through, even though we're getting deeper and deeper into fall. But we do have still partly cloudy to mainly clear sky, but you can see the storms lining up to the northwest. They're creeping closer to us here, and they will be here by later this evening into tonight. These temps are impressive. 76 Central Park, 79 degrees out at Newark. Still going up, but the clouds are about to come in and kind of keep that heating up process to a minimum from this point forward, as more clouds will be rolling in. High temp this afternoon, 80 degrees, but the storms that roll through tonight looks like they could mean business for us, Bianca. And the cooler temps also will be a bit of a surprise. Lots of changes coming up in a bit.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. Well, some developing news now with the federal government shutdown. Healthcare remains one of the most difficult issues to work with in Congress. Democrats believe healthcare is an issue that resonates with a majority of Americans as they demand an extension of subsidies for their votes to reopen the government. Some Republicans want to extend the higher subsidies, but many GOP lawmakers are strongly opposed to any extension. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has repeatedly indicated GOP is open to extending the subsidies with reforms if Democrats would reopen the government. He has refused to negotiate until that happens and also suggested Trump will be key to the eventual overcome. Meanwhile, Attorney General Pam Bondi defends herself against Democratic criticism that she's weaponized the Justice Department. Appearing before a congressional hearing today, Bondi faced tough questions over political pressure to weaponize the DOJ to go after Donald Trump's perceived foes like James Comey. During opening remarks, Bondi said the Biden DOJ was the one that weaponized the DOJ, having brought 2 criminal cases against Trump. Well, we are following the very latest in the race for New York City mayor. Next at noon, we're hearing from former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who stopped by Good Day New York this morning to answer a number of questions. Well, with Election Day 4 weeks away, New Yorkers are getting ready to head to the polls to cast their vote for mayor. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo stopped by Good Day, New York this morning to answer a number of questions. In 2019, when Cuomo was governor, he pushed forward cashless bail in the state. Kurt and Rosanna asked him if he's pleased with the results of the bills that he passed 5 years later.
If you have not been found guilty of anything, you shouldn't be put in prison. And you shouldn't be sent to Rikers just because you don't have the money to make bail. The exception was if the judge believed you created harm, and if you were released, there would be harm. And that's where judges had different interpretations and lawyers had different interpretations, and that's where they've been changing the law.
Well, Cuomo says his first priority should be that he should be elected mayor. It's creating jobs here in the city, and that's exactly what he would do. Meanwhile, Curtis Sliwa getting a major endorsement from a former New York City mayor. Rudy Giuliani says Sliwa is the man for the job. Giuliani making that announcement last night on his streaming show. Now he also reveals that he's had pressure from Republicans to support Andrew Cuomo. Sliwa used the endorsement to criticize his opponent's soft on crime policies.
Curtis Sliwa has been a hero for New York from the time almost he was born.
Rudy Giuliani sees it the same way that I see it, that there is no difference between Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. They both for no cash bail. They both for raise the age. They both are for closing Rikers Island. And incredibly, as Andrew Cuomo has made it a point, that Zohran Mamdani wants legal prostitution in all 350 neighborhoods in New York City.
Well, Giuliani also endorsed Sliwa in the 2021 race as well. Well, Zohran Mamdani does not have any public appearances scheduled for today, but he did release a statement on the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel, saying in part, "I mourn these lives and pray for the safe return of every hostage still held in the aftermath of that day." Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government launched a genocidal war, a death toll that now far exceeds 67,000. That statement continues, "I mourn these lives and pray for the families that have been shattered. Our government has been complicit through it all. This must end." Well, for continuing coverage of the New York City's mayor's race, tune into Battleground NYC, the fight for your vote, hosted by SE Cup. You can catch that weeknights at 7 p.m. on the Fox Local app and at 11 p.m. right here on Fox 5. Meanwhile, next at noon, it's an exclusive story you'll only see here on Fox 5. We're diving into the controversies surrounding a large infrastructure project, raising concerns among residents and businesses in several Connecticut towns. Well, now to an exclusive story that you'll only see here on Fox 5. Residents and business owners in several Connecticut towns are saying, not in my backyard. They are worried about an infrastructure project that they say will disrupt their way of life. Fox 5's Richard Giacova shows us the 100-plus foot poles and high voltage power lines that have so many so mad today.
There's no mistaking the peace and quiet of the tiny village of Southport, Connecticut, a village filled with some pretty rich history.
Congratulate, you earned enough money to be where you are.
And there's no better woman to tell you about that history than Jacqueline Thunfer, a longtime Southport resident who was born right before Herbert Hoover was sworn in.
Well, when I walked in the door, you walked in and your shoulders touched the wall.
Ms. Thunfer, who just turned 97, purchased this historic home back in the 80s for just $90,000. A newspaper reporter at the time, little did she know how many hidden mysteries were inside. But Ms. Thunfer's historic sanctuary could be no more, she claims. And it's all because of what is slowly becoming one of the Constitution state's biggest controversies.
You go through shock. Your initial thing is really shock. You have to really stand up for something that you know is innately not fair, not right, not appropriate, probably crooked in some way.
Ms. Thunfer's home in Southport, along with dozens of other property owners in other parts of Fairfield and Bridgeport, are worried about a proposed $280 million transmission line project, which would allow the power company United Illuminating to construct 100-plus foot so-called monopoles along the Metro-North rail line, a rail line that runs through these communities to provide power to a substation in downtown Fairfield. But the worry for people like Ms. Thunfer is that the project would destroy their community, in some cases cutting right through homes, businesses, and national historic landmarks. According to these renderings from United Illuminating, it only shows that some trees would be cut down.
It's a disaster. 165 foot anything. I can't imagine anybody in America thinking 165 piece of plastic in their backyard was nice. Would you ever consider that? No. And whenever, in a journalistic sense, when something innately is not fair, your instinct rises up.
But a local architect photographed and created his own renderings, one of which shows that if the plan is approved, Ms. Thunfer's home would be cut in two. For its part, United Illuminating says these images are being exaggerated, so much so that the power company's spokesperson agreed to an interview with us while covering this story. The spokesperson claims that the company has met with community members and elected officials numerous times to discuss the proposed 2.5-year project. A rebuild, the company says, is desperately needed.
All of our transmission infrastructure sits on top of the Metro-North Railroad. That railroad began construction in the 1910s, and our transmission infrastructure was built between the 1940s and the 1960s. So it's just time for that infrastructure to be rebuilt.
Fair enough, says insurance agency owner Steve Boccarosa, who took over the family business decades ago. The current UI project, though, Boccarosa says, would allegedly run through his whole piece of property in Fairfield, something he says he found out about through regular mail.
Their idea of advising us was a postcard that looked like a marketing piece.
And so Boccarosa, along with other community members, came up with an alternative, one that he says would be the simplest solution.
We have an alternative program that will bury these lines at a lower cost and not affect any of us. Reduce the taking of 19.5 acres along this corridor to zero. Yet they're not listening.
United Illuminating, in fact, says it is listening to the community and that underground lines would be ideal for everyone. But in this case, it's too costly.
It's just a much more expensive process to dig up the lines, to avoid other utility infrastructure that's in the ground, to avoid the number of easements that you need.
So you can sit here today and you can tell me that these homes, these landmarks, these businesses will be safe, that they will not be destroyed by any of these monopoles that are going to be built.
That is correct. Our poles are being built in the railroad right-of-way. So however you want to define what the easement is needed for, whether it's an aerial, just the line is going to be hanging over their property, or whether it's going to be, something that we just have to access through a small piece of their yard in order to be able to get to the railroad, but no one's property is going to be destroyed. We're not taking anyone's property.
But the town of Fairfield First Selectman, which is kind of like the town's mayor, says flat out she doesn't trust United Illuminating, mostly because the power company keeps changing its story.
I don't really trust them. Just because we've been asking for information and we haven't gotten it. I was at a meeting with representatives from UI. They very much are committed to just moving forward right now with their current plan and have presenting that to the siting council at their next meeting, hoping for a vote. They have shared that they think that there's opportunities for the plan to be revised after approval. I'm very skeptical of that happening.
And this nonagenarian isn't buying it either.
There's something strange happening here. I don't think it's a straight story that we're getting.
We reached out to Governor Ned Lamont for comment about this proposed project. His spokesman pointed us to the town of Fairfield, but the governor has said he's trying to work on potential compromises with United Illuminating. Meanwhile, the 9-member Connecticut Siting Council is voting on this proposed project in less than 2 weeks. And in that time frame, between now and then, residents from all the way in Bridgeport to Fairfield to Southport say they're going to fight this, and they're doing so by organizing a number of rallies between now and then in opposition. Richard Giacovas, Fox 5 News.
Well, the Port Authority breaking ground on a new air train at Newark Liberty International Airport. The 2.5-mile people mover will replace the current air train that's been in operation since 1996. Officials say once complete, the train will improve connectivity between parking and terminals, including the brand new Terminal A. The project is estimated to cost $3.5 billion. It's slated to open in 2029. No need to go anywhere anytime soon. Stay here. Look at this view. This is our live view outside. It's stunning weather. I know that may change a little bit later, but Mike Woods, we're just trying to soak up this amazing warm weather here.
I know. Can you see I kind of dressed the occasion?
You like it.
Exactly.
Summer
Trying
vibes.
to hang on to that summer vibe while we got it, because this is probably the last day here, Bianca, because these 80-degree days are about to go away for us here. Cold fronts lined up to our northwest, and it's sliding into the tri-state region, and that means the clouds will be increasing, and these warm temps that we have right now will be a thing of the past here soon. It's now 76 Central Park, 79 out at Newark. South wind is coming by at around 5 to 15 miles per hour. This is the futurecast, and the computer models say, yep, we're still going into the upper 70s to low 80s this afternoon, but there's the clouds rolling back in. By this evening, by about 9, 10 o'clock, the first of the showers is starting to approach the core of the tri-state, but the showers and storms, the heavier stuff starts to come through in the overnight hours, probably between about midnight until daybreak. There will be some pockets of heavier showers that do roll on through here at that time. So that means tomorrow morning's commute is going to be a bit messy out there, but it does clear out by about midday, and then the cool air starts filtering in. Look what happens to the low temps going into Thursday night. We're talking about lows that could be dropping down into the 30s in our northwestern counties and down into the 40s for our metro areas come Thursday morning. So that's a big temperature swap from what we have right now. So today your high temp 80 degrees before the clouds build back in. Storms come through this evening into tonight, and then as we go through the next 7 days, huge temperature drop after these showers and storms are done, and it'll feel like fall for us as we go into the weekend. And we'll be right back.
simple.
All right, meteorologist Mike Woods, we're chatting with him after this. But first, let's talk about the Agriculture Department. It's warning that certain meal kits from HelloFresh may be contaminated with listeria. It issued a public health alert for the company's Heat and Eat pasta meals that were produced by Fresh Realm, the department that says HelloFresh's cheesy pulled pork pepper pasta and unstuffed peppers with ground turkey meat meal kits both contain spinach that tested positive for listeria. The strain of listeria is linked to an outbreak in June that killed 4 people. And some new research suggests that there are ways to lower a child's risk of developing a peanut allergy. A study in the journal Pediatrics says better training for pediatricians could be the key here. It focused on the idea of giving small amounts of peanut-containing foods to infants. Previous research has shown that can significantly lower the odds that a child will become allergic to peanuts. The new study says that enhanced training combined with electronic health care prompts and educational materials can help doctors guide families with early peanut introduction. And your favorite pasta dish could be in some hot water. Next at noon, how the signature Italian import could soon become even more expensive. Also, it is do or die for the Yankees. What you need to know about tonight's game back here at home in the Bronx. All right, it's 12:30 right now. Welcome back to the noon. Got a whole lot more coming up here, starting with this. The New York City Food and Wine Festival, that is coming up. So to celebrate, the head chef and owner of Luca Osteria and Eating House in Miami is actually going to be here on the noon for us to preview some of the tasty dishes that are coming to the festival. But first, let's get another live look outside on this Tuesday. Still feeling like summer. We are hanging on. We're hanging on by the one last pinky toe here just to keep this warm weather alive. Will it stick around a little bit longer? I don't know. Mike Woods.
It's a struggle. I know. We've had such a nice summer into fall, but now it looks like things are about to make that trade. We're not quite there yet, but today we're just going to enjoy what we have out there, Bianca. Sunny, warm conditions coming at you as our temps are running about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than what we typically see this time of the year. So, yes, sunny and warm for you today, but already I do see the clouds gathering back. But it's one more summery feeling day, but showers and storms are going to be here by tonight and into tomorrow. tomorrow. That's the way we're going to start that day off. So you can already see the trade out there, with a big temperature drop coming at us as well, as our temperatures go back to not just normal, but even below normal for a couple of days. But out there for you as we head into the afternoon, lunchtime, we've got a mainly clear sky here. Here's the cold front. Not hard to pick out right now, is it? We've got the scattered showers and storms. Pretty heavy stuff, too, out near Buffalo, Lakes Erie, and Ontario have quite a few showers and heavier downpours. And some of that's coming this way by the time we get to, I'd say, mid to late this evening and into the overnight hours is when it kicks in for us, the wet weather that is. Temps, I mean, this is good stuff still. We're, again, ahead of the cold front. We've got 76 Central Park, 79 out at Newark, 78 degrees in Belmar. Everyone's got 70, 74 degrees in Monticello. So even the higher elevations to the north and west are still looking quite warm. And we also have that dedicated southerly wind coming through at around 10 to 15 miles per hour that pulls up all that warm air, some of the humidity as well, and kind of sets the atmosphere up for what could be a showery, if not stormy, late evening for us coming at us and the overnight hours as the cold front approaches. So there it is. Cold front is up to the north and west, coming on through. This is the futurecast as we roll it forward. It keeps us pretty dry, but the clouds are building in through the rest of the afternoon. Then it gets to this evening, which, by the way, we've got the Yankees game taking on the Blue Jays. Kicks off at 8 o'clock this evening. There's a risk that we'll see a few showers, though it looks like most of those showers will hold off until after the game. Cold front's going to drive through mainly in the overnight hours. That's when the bulk of the showers, the thunder showers, will come through until about daybreak tomorrow. And then the cooler, drier air will filter in on the backside. And that's what changes things up. We get the showers and so on through this evening into tomorrow morning. And then the cool, dry air takes over as high pressure builds in. And this is cool Canadian air. And the reason you're going to see a temperature change with highs in the 80s for the last several days, dropping back down to the 60s for a couple of days. How much rain do we get out of it? Well, the models are indicating on average about a half an inch to an inch of rain, which we could definitely use because we are running about 8 inches behind for Central Park, and the reservoir is around 5% behind or so. Starting to drop off for sure. So drought conditions, being noticed for us here in the tri-state. High temp today, 80 degrees. The bigger showers and storms kick in probably between 9 p.m. and midnight. And we're going to see some storms for tomorrow morning's commute, and that's going to slow you down on the roadways out there. So be prepared for a slow commute come tomorrow morning if you're out and about. But it's out here in the afternoon, and then it takes a little bit to warm you back up. Lows in the 40s for a few days, highs in the 60s. But we do get back to normal with the temperatures as we head in toward the weekend. At least the weekend still looking decent. It just doesn't look like summer for us here. Bianca.
Hey, better than rain, so
That's
we'll
right.
take it.
We're good for a
Mike,
while.
thanks so much. All right, well, a pasta penalty, a new tariff on the imported Italian good, could soon hit restaurants in our area, especially. The Trump administration proposing a more than 91% fee on perhaps Italy's most famous export. Dorothy Giordino is taking a look at what this could mean for your next plate of penne.
Al dente, perfetta. Salvo Locastro is one of Italy's best-known chefs, and now he has a hot new restaurant in Soho. He's cooked for 2 popes and a long list of celebrities. People just love his pasta, especially this one with pork cheeks. Oh, my goodness. But he says new economic policies are forcing him to change the way he does business.
The president, I put this tariff. I organize my company in one other direction. I buy the flour, I buy the eggs, I prepare my pasta in the restaurant, homemade every day.
Instead of importing pasta, Salvo now makes it all by hand. And pasta might soon become even more expensive after the Trump administration announced plans for an extra 91% tax on imported Italian pasta. That's on top of the 15% tax already in place for Italian goods. European leaders, they're just not happy about this. They're calling for a united response and warning this could make tensions worse.
This isn't just old-fashioned protectionism. It's also clear-sightedness.
But President Trump says the tariffs are helping American producers. He wrote on social media, quote, tariffs are making our country an economic power again. Also, virtually no inflation as stock markets continually hit record highs.
By some estimates, most Americans eat pasta at least once a week. And last year, the U.S. imported more than $800 million of pasta from Italy alone. So these tariffs are going to affect almost everyone in the U.S.
This is tough news for smaller restaurants that don't have the resources or know-how of chefs like Salvo, who says he'll find a way to make it work, even if it means making every noodle from scratch to keep costs down.
This is more good for my guests because you have the fresh pasta every day. And I don't exchange the price. For me, it's very important the connection with my guests.
Some lawmakers say higher prices could hurt families trying to bring a taste of Italy to their own dinner tables.
Costs are too high, that the Trump tariffs have been a failure.
Salvo says he will not raise prices, but he knows others will. He believes those higher costs will change the way Americans cook and where they eat. For him, the answer is simple. Make it fresh, keep it local, and never stop serving good pasta.
In New York, the people, I love pasta. Yeah, I love pasta.
In Soho, Duarte Geraldino, Fox 5 News.
We do love pasta. We just love good food, and that's why, coming up next, he's one of Miami's boldest and coolest voices, rather, in culinary. Next at noon, Chef Giorgio Rapicavoli is here to show us how some of his signature dishes that he's going to be preparing next week at the Food Network's New York City Wine and Food Festival. We are getting our grub on with Chef Giorgio coming up. Well, Chef Giorgio Rapicavoli is the head chef and owner of Luca Osteria, an eating house in Miami, but he is here in New York ahead of his Italian dinner at the Food Network's New York City Wine and Food Festival happening next week. There, he's going to be cooking alongside legendary chef Jonathan Waxman and share how Luca Osteria reflects his Italian and Argentine history, as well as his love for Miami's culinary scene. And I know this firsthand because I used to live there. The flavors in Miami are absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Chef, thanks so much for being here.
So excited to be here.
You brought some great ingredients I already see here on the table. But first of all, talk to us about your restaurant and how that came to be.
So Luca opened up in 2021. We had this incredible opportunity to kind of open the restaurant of my dreams, right? Like we had this like blank canvas, and it came down to say like, what kind of food do you want to make? And I've always wanted to cook Italian. My mom's from Italy, my dad's family is from Argentina through the ways of Sicily. I grew up in an Italian household, and I always wanted to just represent my culture. And I got to name a restaurant after my son.
Oh my
and
God,
that's Luca Osteria. Yeah, it's pretty great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is in Coral Gables, a little far from here, but that's
a little
okay.
Bit far. But Miami and New York has a very beautiful symbiotic relationship.
It's a 2-hour flight. That's fine.
Yeah.
But people can come see what you're doing here next weekend at the Food and Wine Festival. What are you preparing for guests there?
So I'm going to be making a version of our pasta al limone, but with sea urchin butter and breadcrumbs.
Wow.
An Italian steak tartare per se with celery root, and then like a really beautiful dessert of like fresh figs and tonka beans and meringue.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I get to cook with Jonathan Waxman, who's
that's incredible.
A legend.
Amazing.
Not only in California, but in New York, and one of my idols. And it's amazing that I get to do this for a living.
Okay, this is very fun. First of all, you live a very fun life.
It's
full
incredible.
of good food.
Full of good food, yes.
Let's make some. Talk about some of the stuff that you have here on the table before we start making.
Okay, so stracciatella, made by Caseificio Olivieri, which is a local cheesemaker. Sullivan Street Bakery focaccia served with great olive oil. This is the same Sullivan Street Bakery that opened in New York. They came down to Miami. We were one of their first clients, and we've been using their bread ever since. Olives, prosciutto, the quintessential like antipasti, right?
Honestly, this would be before my meal, before I die, just olives.
We actually make a really cool martini called a Portofino that's with green olive, vermouth, olive brine, olive oil. Yeah,
and you didn't bring it?
Yeah, we can.
We love to drink here on the
They don't let it come on the plane.
Oh, man. Okay, let's talk about what we're making here.
Not classic, which is what Luca's all about, right?
I like that.
We're going to basically make a caprese salad.
Is this from the same stracciatella that
exactly.
the maker down in Miami?
Exactly.
That's really awesome.
We start off the base with this stracciatella. Okay. Then we're going to go more caprese flavors, cured tomato. So these are little cured tomatoes that are dried.
How do you feel about when people come to your restaurant and they try to emulate the way you say stracciatella? Is it okay? Should we try? Should we just go for it? Okay.
You know,
stracciatella.
Stracciatella.
Okay.
Back at the house, we just call it strat. A little easier, right? So, cured tomato. We're going to put a little bit of some crema di balsamico, or like a little glaze or aged balsamic, whatever you'd like, right? Okay, so we're halfway there. Now, I like to think about the texture of tomato.
Yep.
We're going to replace that with raw tuna.
Wow. Okay, so this is something that I normally wouldn't see someone mixing these two flavors together.
And I mean, in Italy, cheese and fish is a faux pas, really, pretty much. But, you know, stracciatella's creamy, very lactic.
Yeah.
You know, think about lox and cream cheese, right?
Sure, that's actually true.
Okay, so tons of olive oil.
Love.
Right? Have to. Super spicy. Beautiful green olive oil. Okay.
And then the last thing I'm seeing right here.
We're going to put two things now. Really great flaky salt.
Oh, my favorite.
Like
where do we get good flaky salt? Because that's one problem that I feel like
any specialty purveyor. This is from Italy.
Oh,
you know?
love. Okay.
You know, take care of it. And then lots of great basil. So kind of just have fun with it. You want to go at it too?
Yeah, I'm going to see, because I got to try this. I'm so hungry. Let's get into it.
Kind of like rip and like let it fall. As if it just fell from the sky, right? You know?
Are we doing this with a spoon or a fork?
No, please, I have a fork.
Okay, just making sure.
You're gonna basically, the jam here is a little tuna, a little tomato.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a little try. Okay, but when I'm trying this, let people know where they can come find you next weekend.
Next weekend, gonna be at the New York City Food and Wine Festival. It's gonna be amazing, the 15th through the 19th.
Good.
Yeah, it's cool. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It works.
I'm very impressed, but
it should not work, but it works. Yeah.
Okay. Again, where can people find you and follow you from?
At G. Rapicavoli on Instagram, Luca, Eating House. Those are my restaurants in Miami.
A 2-hour flight. Get down to Coral Gables. Not bad at all. Or come see him next weekend. Chef, thank you so much for being here and making such an amazing dish for us.
Thank you.
More new coming up straight after this. I got to finish my lunch. Hold on.
on Fox.
Where the Yankees are going to play a do-or-die game against the Blue Jays in a AL divisional round tonight. The Yanks trail Toronto 2-0 in the best-of-5 series. The Bombers are blown out in both contests, surrendering a combined 23 runs to the Jays. Manager Aaron Boone says his team is used to adversity and is taking this challenge one day at a time.
We approach it like we have really all season, but even more specifically, the last 6 to 8 weeks where we feel like we've been playing with a lot on the line every single day.
Well, lefty Carlos Rodon will get the start for the Yankees tonight. First pitch is at 8:08 p.m. Also tonight, the Rangers return to the ice for the start of the franchise's 100th season. The Blue Shirts will send out an overhauled roster when they take on the Pittsburgh Penguins at the Garden. That team is looking to bounce back after missing the playoffs last year. They're going to be led by new head coach Mike Sullivan, who spent the past decade with the Penguins. The Islanders and Devils will play their opening games on Thursday. Meanwhile, we're counting down to the 2026 FIFA World Cup next summer. Today, the New York teams and New Jersey host committee opened the first ever FIFA Volunteer Center in Midtown. That center will be the local hub for recruitment, training, orientation, and event readiness. Volunteer applications, they're still open for another 3 days. So for more information and to apply, visit fifaworldcup.com/volunteers. And remember, Fox 5 is your home for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Look for updates and features leading up to the big event next summer. All right, next at noon, what Taylor Swift has to say about the Super Bowl halftime show rumors. Plus, we are hearing from more of the stars of Broadway's upcoming show, Queen of Versailles, ahead of the start of previews.
Boosted.
Welcome back. Well, Taylor Swift debunking some old rumors about her performing in the Super Bowl halftime show. The pop star addressed the storyline last night on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Take a look.
Jay-Z has always been very good to me.
Yes.
Our teams are really close. Like, it's like they sometimes will call and say, how does she feel about
Yeah.
And that's not like an official offer or an official like a conference room conversation.
It's just a
like our
feeling
teams
out.
are really close. How does she feel about it in general? And we're always able to like tell him the truth, which is that like I am in love with a guy who does that sport on that actual field. And this is nothing to do with Travis. He would love for me to do it. I'm just too locked in.
Well, last week, the NFL announced that Bad Bunny would perform at this year's Super Bowl halftime show. So that takes Taylor out of the mix, we think. Meanwhile, Ed Sheeran fans will soon be able to see a different side of him on Netflix. The streaming company just announced its plans to release One Shot with Ed Sheeran. It's described as an experimental musical experience that will consist of a single rolling shot of the singer. Sheeran will be seen performing his greatest hits as he travels through New York City. Some portions were filmed on the subway, some on sidewalks, all set to be in a single take. The project was directed by Philip Barantini, who also helmed the acclaimed Netflix drama Adolescence, which was similarly shot as one continuous take. One Shot with Ed Sheeran will be available to stream on November 21st. Meanwhile, The Queen of Versailles on Broadway starts previewing tomorrow night, starring Kristen Chenoweth and F. Murray Abraham. Our Ryan Christopher caught up with him and actress Nina White, who also stars in the show.
There's so much opulence in the backstory, but it's really heartfelt. It's very emotional. What really drew you to this show?
Oh, well, first of all, it's some of the best composers and writers in the business.
Stephen Short.
One of the best directors.
Yeah.
That's for openers. And of course, Kristen Chenoweth.
Yeah.
I mean, she's, I think, the best entertainer in the country. I love the theater, and that's where I live.
Yeah.
I'm not that long away from the stage ever, no matter how many movies or theater or TV things I do. I love the theater.
Yeah.
And the thing we shouldn't forget about this is that it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, with somebody who knows what they're talking about. Get up, ready.
I feel kind of a spiritual responsibility to Ricky Siegel, who I play in the show. She was very young and very bright and had a lot of dreams and desires, as all people do. I'm really honored to portray her in this very complicated and very, very loving and layered mother-daughter relationship in the show.
You mentioned those TV roles. We just heard that season 4 of White Lotus could potentially be in the south of France. Are you and our boy Michael Imperioli going to make it back season 4?
He and I and his wife, we've become a trio, really important friends.
Yeah.
But if Mike White asks me to do anything, I'd jump at the chance. He's that kind of a man.
We love that answer.
Oh, he's really special.
I think your season was my favorite.
I loved it.
Me too.
Don't tell the other guys, all right?
Mike White, also, if you want me to do anything too, I jump at the chance.
They're available as a pair, okay? Just saying. Just saying.
Oh, so sweet of them. All right, well, a baby animal getting some very special attention at a theme park in Japan. Next at noon, one penguin's unique pal just days after birth.
Fox 5.
All right, do you want to get into the fall spirits? The popular city-side pumpkin patch, that's going to get you in the mood because the Summer Club rooftop in Long Island City is transformed into an autumn wonderland. Look at this. Guests have access to more than 10,000 upstate New York sourced pumpkins and plenty of photo op spots. Tickets are on sale online. And during the spooky season, a brand new survey reveals who goes the hardest for Halloween. Overall, those in North Dakota, Delaware, and Idaho were the biggest Halloween fanatics when it comes to scary movies watched. New Yorkers came in second with 6 movies watched per season, only behind Arkansas with 6.4. New York was also first for most pumpkins carved per person with 3.5. Wow. And for New Jerseyans, they were at the top spot for time spent planning their costumes, spending nearly a month perfecting their outfits. Does that sound like you? 3 pumpkins per person for New Yorkers? When do we have the time? All right, well, that is our show. But before we go, here's one last thing to leave you with. Take a look at this video out of Japan. It's not a Halloween costume, but a special strategy to help feed a baby penguin. This half-pound baby emperor hatched around a week ago. It's being cared for at a theme park. Staff have been wearing penguin masks and gloves while monitoring and feeding the baby just to make sure it gets an attachment to something resembling of the animal of its kind. The baby penguin expected to be under care of its human parents until the end of the year. Looking just as cold as me in the studio. I get it. I feel your pain. We'll see you tomorrow. 25 Words or Less is next. And if you want more news, tune into the Fox Local app, streaming right now.
All right, everybody, Antoine Lewis, happy to be with you on this Tuesday. Welcome to Newsroom Live. And as we always do, we're going to go over news headlines from the inside of our newsroom here, Fox 5 on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So before we get that underway, let's take a live look outside for where you can see the Brooklyn Bridge. Traffic is moving along there, but I want to talk about the sun that's out as you take a look at that. And I'm going to get into weather a little bit more, but just always want to let you know as we try to set the scene, for you. And we'll always try to make sure that we're keeping you abreast of weather. Now, as we get into some of the news headlines, this one is just into our newsroom. It's breaking news. I want to pass this along to you and read the information that we have as you take a look at this picture, because the NYPD is seeking the public's assistance in locating the parents or guardian of this still unidentified child that was found within the confines of the 101st Precinct. Now, here's what we can tell you. It was reported to police that today, around 5:30 on Seagirt Boulevard, an unidentified child was found without adult supervision and was taken to St. John's Episcopal Hospital. Now, the child is a male, 5 years old, with medium complexion, brown eyes, as you can see right there, about 80 pounds and short braids. He was found wearing a white tank top and tan shorts. Now, again, this is the picture that police are looking for anyone who may know the whereabouts of the parents, and you see the Crime Stoppers number up there, 1-800-577-TIPS. And if you recognize the young person here, this young child, male, they are 5 years old, you are asked to call police. And we'll see if we can come back to that story some point in the newscast to keep you up to speed and then put that picture up there. Otherwise, it is October 7th, and this marks the 2-year anniversary in which Hamas attacked Israel. So as we talk about the marking of that event, here's what we want to remind you. This happened again October 7th. 1,200 people were killed. Another 251 were abducted on this day in 2023. 48 hostages remain inside Gaza. 20 of them are believed by Israel to still be alive. Tens of thousands were killed in the ongoing war, the Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip. Now, peace talks are underway right now between Israel and Hamas in Egypt. Hamas says it will release the remaining hostages only in exchange for a lasting ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal. Now, also, we want to let you know that the attack on Israel targeted mostly civilians and started the Gaza war between Israel and Hamas. The UN says that the war has claimed the lives of more than 66,000 Palestinians. Negotiations from Israel and Hamas and the United States, negotiators have begun the peace talks. This is taking place in Europe. The goal is ending the bloodshed and suffering and ensuring safety for the people of Gaza as well as Israeli citizens. Now, we'll have a couple of sound bites we want to play to you coming from the president and then from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
That we can finish it the easy way and not the hard way.
I think we're doing very well, and I think Hamas has been agreeing to things that are very important.
All right, now many in our area are among the thousands of families who lost loved ones in this war. Our Jody Goldberg actually spoke with the parents of Long Island native Omar Nutra. Take a look at this.
For more than 700 days, Ronan and Orna Nutra have been counting. Each piece of tape, each number. Another day without their son Omer.
I couldn't have imagined in my worst nightmares that we'd still be in this position 2 years later.
They went from private parents to public advocates overnight, making sure the world knew their son Omer, a tank commander in the IDF, was being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza.
They were just there a month to defend the border, not knowing that the attack on Israel will be the biggest in its history.
We would speak almost every day, and he had just come back to the base, and he said, you know, Mom, things have calmed down. We're expecting a quiet holiday, completely casual call, and we were like, okay, talk tomorrow.
For 421 days, they held on to hope that he was still alive.
For 14 months, you're in this fight.
Until the devastating news, Omer was among those killed on October 7th, the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
On December 1st, 2024, the intelligence received new information that dated back to October 7th. And based on that information, they concluded that Omer died that day in the tunnels of Hamas because he didn't receive the medical attention that he should have received. You know, it's something that neither the mind nor the heart can really accept.
After the news, a memorial service was held in Omer's honor at his family synagogue in Syosset, but his body to this day is still being held in Gaza.
Our life is on hold. We're stuck.
The Nutras want people to remember not just Omer's murder, but his extraordinary life. The grandson of 2 Holocaust survivors felt a responsibility to defend Israel, and he did so with pride.
Omer was very much a part of this community. He was like a natural leader, and the kids gravitated toward him.
And just steps away from the Nutras' home is a new basketball court in Omer's name. It's the game he loved in his hometown. The only thing missing is him.
This is where I taught him how to bike on this court. That's where we shot the first hoops. It's just so symbolic that now we see his name there.
The family plans to keep wearing Omer's face on their shirts. They call it their uniform in what feels like a never-ending fight. They've met with elected officials, pleaded with leaders, yet 2 years later, and they're still waiting.
Announcements are good and talks about a deal, and it's all good, but we need action. We need them back.
With a possible ceasefire deal on the table, one that could bring home the remaining Israeli hostages, 20 alive and 28 who are dead, including Omer, the Nutras say they're cautiously hopeful.
It brings a lot of hope, a lot of anticipation, but also we're protecting ourselves because we have been in this spot multiple times before.
Their message to Hamas is simple.
Let those people go. The suffering of innocent people is so unnecessary.
Support from the community has given the Nutras the strength to keep going, but they say there will be no closure until all hostages come home. On Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
All right, Jody, thank you. We want to let you know that there are several vigils planned in our area today to, again, mark the second year of the war that's going on right now. A number of our reporters, a number of our colleagues will be covering that, and we'll be bringing you that in our evening newscast. And stay with Fox 5 here local or whatever platform you're finding us on to keep you abreast as we continue to mark the second year of this event. Before we go to break, we just want to again show you the picture of our breaking news story, the young boy that the parents or someone who knows him as being sought by NYPD. Again, he's 5 years old. He was found around 5:30 this morning on Seagrett Boulevard in the confines of the 101st Precinct. So again, if you recognize him, 5 years old, brown eyes, medium complexion, 80 pounds, black short braids. He was wearing a white tank top and tan shorts. Anyone with information, again, is asked to call Crime Stoppers at that number that you see there on the top. We're going to take a quick break. More news, more headlines when we come back. All right, everybody, welcome back to Newsroom Live. That picture we're going to get to when we talk about weather, but from here, we want to take a look at D.C. and cover some D.C. news right now because Attorney General Pam Bondi is actually in a hearing right now, a congressional hearing, where she's facing criticism that the Department of Justice, the DOJ, has been weaponized. So we're going to dip in really quickly and take a listen to that hearing.
Practice that we should get to, or is this deployment of the National Guard a part of an emerging best practice that I just don't get yet?
Senator Tillis, seeing what's happening in Chicago, they need the National Guard. Our ICE members need the National Guard to protect the national buildings.
Oh, 100%. I'm talking about when it wades into local
deployed.
law enforcement. See, I felt like deployment in D.C. made sense because of the hybrid nature of D.C. What I'm saying is outside of that, defending federal buildings and federal law enforcement, addressing, I think you mentioned over 500 murders in Chicago. It would just seem to me that all those bums should be thrown out in an election. And are we masking an underlying problem that will come back the minute we leave? That's what I'm talking about. Not the protection of federal buildings and federal law enforcement officers, but almost the sense of they become an arm of local law enforcement. I don't consider that a best practice. It doesn't sound like you do either.
Well, I don't believe our National Guard want to be doing that, but they're going to be where they have to be to keep Americans safe. In Memphis right now, the highest violent crime rate in the country. I was on the ground with Secretary Hegseth there, and our Guard was there, and they were thrilled. They're ready to help, and we used all Tennessee Guard there. Secretary Hegseth used all Tennessee Guard. They're working hand in hand with the Memphis Police Department, who I believe were very happy to have them there, helping them to keep Memphis safe. Can I go back to the vaping again that you brought up, please, Senator? So I went to Chicago, actually, with Secretary Kennedy, and it was just outside of Chicago in a suburb, and we were there talking about the illegal vapes and what parents need to know. This is a bipartisan issue. What people need to know, these illegal vapes, they're all over this country. You can buy them in convenience stores. You can buy them in grocery stores. One vape is the equivalent of, I believe, 20 cigarettes. The flavored ones are illegal, and they're targeting children, what you said earlier. Some of these vapes, and I had never seen this until we were there, even have video games attached to them. That's not targeting an adult. It's targeting a child. And they're also, the majority, are coming in from China, which is illegal, and they're lacing them with THC. Now, right now, I can't say that I have seen deaths with fentanyl lace, but we want to get on the front end of this because that's what's next.
We have to do it.
If we don't control this in every single one of our states, that's what's next. And for the first time, we're getting on the front end of a very serious problem around our country. And Senator Moody, you fought this as well. So thank you for letting me address that, Senator Tillis. And parents need to know that.
We do. We need to focus on it. And all I'm saying from a political standpoint is that if we're only, well, let's get President Trump is termed out. He'll only be able to serve out his second term. And I believe the president is absolutely focused on making these dangerous cities safer. I reject any notion that Charlotte's on that list, by the way. So whether you're a Democrat or Republican, bring it on. But I see 3.5 years from now, if we don't address the systemic problems, that what we've basically done is given a governor and mayor and city councilman a pass on failing to protect their people. I was formerly Speaker of the House in North Carolina. If I thought I had to have the president deploy troops to keep North Carolina safe, I would have considered myself a failure as a state leader. And so I just hope we strike the balance so that we're not fixing a problem temporarily, only to come back maybe even worse than the problem we're fixing the moment this president who's committed to local safety leaves. And that's something that we have to talk about. So we're leaving something behind. And I'm going to yield back. Thank you.
Senator Tillis. Senator Schiff.
Okay, everybody. So just to recap what's going on, that was Attorney General Pam Bondi. She's in a congressional hearing where she's taking questions, which you just heard right there, on whether or not the Trump administration has weaponized the Department of Justice. And one of the points that's been raised are the charges that were leveled against former for James Comey, FBI Director James Comey. There. So that's why this is such a hot button issue. And then it certainly talks about what happened in D.C. when the national troops went in there. And the president has suggested that Illinois could be looking at it. Oregon is certainly California stepping in because of what's going on there. So that's why this is a hot button issue. We're keeping our eye on that. But as we talk again about D.C. headlines, we have to talk about the government shutdown and what the very latest is with that. Now, health care remains one of the most difficult issues for Congress to work with, and the Democrats are believing that health care is an issue that resonates with the majority of Americans as they demand an extension of subsidies for their votes to reopen the government. Some Republicans want to extend the higher subsidies, but many GOP lawmakers are strongly opposed to any extension. Now, the Senate Majority Leader Thune has repeatedly indicated the GOP is open to extending some of the subsidies with reforms if Democrats would reopen the government. So they're both pointing fingers at each other. Let's just cut through all of that and talk about how it impacts you and me, in the real household. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. That's still a problem with all of us watching to see how this is going to play out. Keeping with local news now and local politics, of course, a lot of eyes on our race for mayor. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, whom you see there on the left, he was on our show this morning, Good Day New York, taking questions about when he, in 2019, when he was governor, he pushed, you know, cashless bail in the state. You know, he was actually talking about the impact of that, you know, today. In the middle there, Zohran Mamdani, whom you see, he didn't have any public statements, you know, if any public appearances scheduled today. He did release a statement today on the second year mark of the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel, saying in part that he mourned these lives and he's praying for the safe return of every hostage still being held. And Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa, whom you see there on the far right, actually picked up an endorsement from another mayor, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, you know, giving his support as Sliwa makes his campaign to be the next mayor of the city of New York. So there you have that. That's what's going on there. We're going to take another quick break. Then we're going to talk about the weather and bring you more news, more headlines when we come back. All right, everybody, we were just looking outside because now we're going to talk weather. Just to set this up for you, it's just going to be me. Normally we have one of our meteorologists come down. We don't have that today, so we're going to get me, and I'm going to put the training and all of the things I've absorbed from them into play here as we talk about the forecast for today. All right, so now as you can see, this is a look at Futurecast, and this is where things stand. Now, the colors that you see going across there, that green is precipitation. The storms in the center of that, that's what's moving through the area, but as you saw, it's going to go through us, and we're looking at Thursday at 1, so we're talking it'll be a ways, you know, at least a couple of days for whatever the system is that we're expecting right now. This is what you want to know, the 7-day forecast. You see that rain, that system we were just talking about? Okay, so it's going to get here at some point Wednesday, possibly late in the evening, and then you can see after it moves out, the sun is out. The next chance of rain appears to be on Sunday, you know, but look, leading into the weekend, you know, 60s, upper 60s there, so some chances of that. Right now, we're talking 77 degrees. You can see the humidity right there, 56%. Dew point is 60. Dew point is important because we are still beneath the rainfall totals that we were looking for the year. But again, that could change with the system that's moving through. These are your temps right now: 80 in Newark, 77 in Allentown, a little bit north. Poughkeepsie's at 78. Hartford, you're looking good at 79. Providence, 77. Bridgeport, you're at 72. And again, this is the Futurecast radar. So as we look at it right now, we can start to see that system. I can tell you, you go along with me. All right, you see it's creeping in from the west. So we're looking at, let's say we moved over So it looks like late tonight-ish, moving into after midnight is when we'll start to see some of those showers there. And that's what the precipitation is in the green right there. The stronger systems, that's the yellow. And then, of course, the orange in the middle of that, that's just bad. You know, you don't ever want orange. Or yellow was bad enough. It's even, sad to see green in some areas, but when you start to see like the yellow and the orange, then that's like just bad. All right, Michael, I think I've done enough, hopefully non-damage to to the forecast. But anyway, now let's talk about the Yankees, sports fans, because the Yanks, their backs are up against the wall. Now, they are in a do-or-die game against the Blue Jays in the AL Division Round 1 tonight. Now, the Yankees, again, do-or-die. They're trailing Toronto 2-0. It's a best-of-5 series. Now, the Bombers were blown out in both contests, surrendering a combined 23 runs to the Jays. Manager Aaron Boone says his team is used to adversity and is taking this as a challenge, one day at a time. Take a listen.
We approach it like we have really all season, but even more specifically, the last 6-8 weeks where, we feel like we've been playing with a lot on the line every single day. We approach it.
All right, well, come back to me. Still working on that, but basically what Boone said was we approach it like we have really all season, even more specifically the last 6 to 8 weeks where we feel like we've been playing a lot on the line, with a lot on the line every day. Now, lefty Carlos Rodon will get the start for the Yankees tonight. First pitch is 8:08 p.m. We will be there, Kendall Green, covering that because we know, again, this is a do-or-die situation for the Yanks. Now, transitioning to FIFA, and we're counting down the days to the World Cup next summer. Now, today, the New York, New Jersey host committee actually opened their first ever FIFA Volunteer Center in Midtown. Now, the center will be the local hub for recruitment, for training, orientation, and event readiness. Volunteer applications are still open for another 3 days. For more information and to apply, visit FIFAWorldCup.com/volunteers. That's the information that you want to have. If you are looking for something to do, you can certainly use some hands on deck because there's going to be a lot to do, when it kicks off next summer. And remember, Fox 5 is your home for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and you can look for updates and features as all of this is leading up to the big event next summer. We'll, of course, will have you covered with all of that there. All right, one short break, and then we got a story about a penguin that we hope will melt your hearts like it melted ours. Again, we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, we again want to just go over our top story, our breaking news story, if you will. Police are trying to find the relatives, the parents of this 5-year-old boy that they say was discovered in Queens in the confines of the 101st Precinct around 5:30 this morning on Seagirt Boulevard. Again, 5 years old, medium complexion, brown eyes, 80 pounds with black short braids there. It was found alone and by himself. Anyone that recognizes this child, this young man, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-577-8477-TIPS. Okay, all right, now, as we get ready to say goodbye, take a look at this video to us coming out of Japan, and let me fill you in on some of the details of this. So it's not a Halloween costume, but a special strategy to help a baby penguin eat. Now, the half-pound baby emperor hatched around a week ago is being cared for at a theme park. Now, staff have been wearing penguin masks and gloves while monitoring and feeding the baby to make sure it gets an attachment to something resembling an animal of its kind. Now, the baby penguin is expected to be under the care of human parents until the end of the year. And again, this is all, to try to simulate, give some sort of look, if you will, of a mother penguin or just something that the animal can recognize. And so this is actually a practice that's being done, to help visually attract the animal to eating. And that's what's going on with it. There is about a half pound, but we thought that was kind of making us wrap up, and warm as we were doing that. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for us here in the newsroom of Fox 5 on the Upper East Side. I'm Antoine Lewis. Next news is coming up at 4 o'clock on this same platform to which you're finding us. I'll be with you at 4 for the news block, and then stay with Fox 5 as well as all of our local apps here for all of the latest headlines. Tuesday, October 7th. Stay safe. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Who have talked to me about their child either falling victim to sextortion, different schemes that are online. We also know that there is an element of human trafficking that comes here. Let's start with social media. What are you doing to hold bad actors accountable, to track them down, and to keep our kids safe?
Senator, first, thank you for bringing that up. This, I believe, is what an oversight hearing should be about.
Thank you.
Not yell, oh, he's gone already. He comes in and leaves. This is what an oversight hearing should be about, trying to help parents and children online. Yes, Director Patel has been doing a great job. The FBI, we have an entire unit